6 o'clock. Therefore, I shall call this meeting of the Enfield Select Board to order Monday, September 8th, 2025. Couple notes prior to beginning the meeting. All participants must speak through a microphone. We have microphones up here. Public participants should stand at the podium. If they're unable to do so, a portable microphone will be provided. Failure to use the microphone would result in a lack of audio on the meeting recording. The online recording secretaries requires that everyone is introduced by name. I'll begin by asking the members of the board to introduce themselves. Beginning with Katie.
Hi, I'm Kate Plumley Stewart.
Tracy Young.
I'm John Klug, chair of the board.
I'm Alice Kennedy.
Public participants.
To say hello, John. This is Eric Russell online.
Eric's online.
Oh, I'm sorry. Forgot Eric is away. Eric, try that again. I messed it up for you.
No problem. Eric Russell. Traveling
Okay.
for work this week.
So all public participants will state their names before speaking. All righty. Are we ready? Let us begin. First up, public hearing, the Comcast franchise agreement.
In the public hearing.
I make a motion to open the public hearing on the Comcast cable franchise agreement.
All in favor, signify by
Aye.
name and I.
Yes, we have to roll call.
Yes.
Tracy Young, yes.
John Klug, yes.
Alice Kennedy, yes.
Eric, yes.
Thank you very much. Okay.
Had a couple of comments on the contract. I see it's for 5 years, which is fine. That follows everything. Only question I had as I read through it was whether we should allow it to be read by developers, because it has specific mention of their responsibilities, town responsibilities, with regard to installing cable at properties to be developed.
That's up to you guys.
Well, I just want to make sure, because we have two large developments, possibly three, certainly two in the very near term. I want to make sure that they're clear, their responsibilities are, especially as it's mentioned in the contract, if they hope to have the lines buried. We certainly don't want them overhead if they don't have to be overhead.
I don't think I would have the developers read them now. I would just make sure that we mention that to any.
Just don't want
Developments.
responsibilities to fall back on us because we failed
No,
to
they won't.
form.
There's no responsibility on us. Pretty commonplace for them to put internet and cable in on new developments.
Okay.
To my mind, there are two key points here. One, that no franchise fees will be paid by Enfield Comcast customers. And secondly, there will be no expansion of the Comcast service area due to Hub 66 DEAD funding for broadband. Those are important.
Yeah, and that's it's written a little different. There's nothing in the contract stating that we're recommending Comcast to expand. That doesn't mean that they can't expand. But a lot of times in franchise agreements, you negotiate for certain expansion that you want, but cable TV, if we want that to expand, we could talk about it, but for the most part, when people want Comcast in their area or something else, they're looking at broadband internet. And the BEAD funding for Hub 66 is supposed to bring Enfield to 100% broadband coverage.
Should we have a contract for a private cable line, uses poles?
I don't know what you're asking.
Shaker Boulevard has a private cable line. And we have a contract for that because this has a contract, but that line does not.
Are they a cable provider?
They are a cable user.
No.
They ran their
Private-
own cable.
Private stuff would not have a franchise agreement.
They ran their own cable down using public utility right of way. And there doesn't seem to be any mention of it anywhere.
This has nothing to do with the wires on the lines. This is the franchise agreement to allow them to provide cable TV to Enfield.
Other comments and thoughts from the board? Comments, thoughts, questions from the public at hand? Yes.
Kim Quirk on Main Street. I'm just trying to understand what that Hub 66 BEAD funding is. You said it's going to provide 100% coverage to the rest of Enfield? Hello? I was just wondering what the Hub 66 BEAD funding is for and if regular residents are going to be taking advantage of that.
It's a little bit different. It's grant funding from the state through the federal government to expand broadband services to places that are registered through maps and things that the government makes. That's to fill in underserved or locations. Problem with that, if I'm going to say it that way, is some places may have some sort of internet access and they consider them served when it's not very good. But for the most part, what their map shows is that Enfield's about 92 to 96% covered, I believe, if I have my numbers right. And this BEAD funding went through the state to hit all of those other unserved. So some of our far-reaching places should get internet that don't have internet now.
Thank you.
And to add to that, this came before the select board, and both Comcast and Hub 66 were given the opportunity to come speak with us. Only Hub 66.
Anything else from the public at hand? The board? How about from the folks online? And remember to state your name. Eric?
No, it has the changes that were requested and mirrors the previous agreements, so I think it's fine.
Thank you. I can't tell who MA is.
That's us.
That's us. Wonderful. Anything else? We close the public hearing?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Uh,
Oh, Alice Kennedy seconded.
Yes, vote by name. Eric, would you start?
Eric, yes.
Kate?
Yes.
Tracy, yes.
John Klug, yes.
Alice Kennedy, yes.
Okay, it's unanimous. Thank you. So, now we vote on Comcast. Any final thoughts? Your motion by name?
Do we need to say our name each time, or is she going to learn? Okay, but for now, I'm Kate Plumley Stewart. I make a motion to approve the Comcast cable franchise agreement as written and presented.
We have a motion from Katie. Do we have a second?
Alice Kennedy, second.
Okay, all in favor, again by name, I'll start. John's, yes. Eric?
Eric, yes.
Tracy, yes.
Alice, yes.
Kate Plumley Stewart, yes.
And we're unanimous. Okay. Next up, we have the approval of the minutes, both August 18, 2025, and August 28, 2025. The 18 was that the joint, no, the 28th was, one of those was the joint meeting with the
I think it was the 28th.
Budget Committee. Okay. I really like the minutes, both sets. I thought they were really well done. And I think our,
Taker?
our new minute taker is really, really good. Okay, any thoughts on these minutes? Let's start with April 18th.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of April 18th as presented, and this is Kate. I'm sorry, August, oh my gosh. Who knows what day it is anymore?
Alice Kennedy, second.
Okay, all in favor, again, we have to go through the name thing every time? Yes, we do. Alice, we start with you this time.
Alice Kennedy, yes.
John Klug, yes.
Tracy Young, yes.
Plumley Stewart, yes.
Eric?
Eric Russell, yes.
And it is unanimous approval of the minutes of August 18th. And now, the Budget Committee and Select Board joint meeting. How are we going to approve the minutes of a joint meeting? Okay, the Select Board can make that choice. Okay, I thought they were very good. So,
I move we accept the Budget Committee Select Board joint meeting minutes of August 28th, 2025.
we have a second?
Alice Kennedy, second.
Okay, all in favor?
Can
My
we
name-
just have some discussion?
Pardon?
Can we have discussion?
Oh, discussion by all means.
So under line 31, it says budget priorities. It says the committee agreed that the town should. Is that the budget committee agreed? I just want to be clear because
Can you say where you are again?
yep, it's line 31.
Interpret that as what it says. The committee agreed, and since it's not a committee, it doesn't refer to us.
Or was it all? I guess that one was just a little more general than I felt comfortable.
Yeah, I read it as though both groups made those points.
There was a general consensus that? I want to be fair to the nature of what we said. So if we feel that both the budget committee members present and the select board present agreed in general to these, I would feel more comfortable saying there was a general consensus instead of saying the committee, because to me, I'm very literal and committee means budget committee.
I like the verbiage of consensus of the group.
Well, I would make the point that in each paragraph, we're going to have the same issue. Nowhere does it differentiate between the select board and the budget committee. I think we need to view it as a group. I don't recall any dissension on any of these points.
I agree. I think that was the one that struck me the most. Maybe it should say, I don't know.
Well, it could say the consensus of the joint meeting.
Yeah. I guess I felt pretty good about our conversations, and I want it to be clear when someone reads it, that it isn't just the budget committee or just the select board. I think a reword is in order, and I guess,
I think Kate makes a good point. Reference to the town should, example, would be the consensus of the joint meeting.
or do we say members present agreed? That way, members present includes both groups, and maybe that can get us through.
We could do that, and we could,
Where it says the committee, because that,
we can review the document quickly, places that it said, and if it's,
line 64, if it said under water and sewer funds, if it said members present reviewed water and sewer enterprise funds, I think it would be a relatively easy,
I think we can make that change easily as an amendment.
okay.
So we can leave this up to the town manager and his staff to do, rather than
Yeah,
do
if you
it.
guys approve it with that.
Yes.
amendment, We'll go through, we can do a search for committee and make sure just if it's bring to both, we'll change it to members.
We have agreement on that?
It's fine.
Okay. Anything else?
Move we accept the meeting minutes, Budget Committee and Select Board joint meeting minutes of August 28th, 2025, with the changes as suggested by the town manager.
Second.
All in favor by name?
Alice Kennedy, aye. Yes.
John Klug, aye.
Tracy Young, aye.
Kate Plumley Stewart, aye.
Eric Russell, aye.
Thank you very much. It is unanimous. Okay. Next up, we have board reports. I'm not going to report on the Budget Committee's report because we've just read the minutes, the joint meeting, and you were there. There we go.
Not going to report on the Energy Committee because they're here.
I might as well follow suit and say Conservation Commission met this past Thursday, and the two largest issues that were discussed and followed up on are coming before you tonight. So I will leave that in the good hands of Shirley Green.
The Enfield Heritage Commission met, and I left a little bit early due to the joint meeting, but during the time that I was there, they discussed the outcome of the BARD guidelines conversation and the depot and fire station sale, and they're looking forward to receive, or they did receive the request for input about those two buildings, and they appreciate it. And there was discussion about the 250th celebration and the agreement to involve as many people from town committees as possible. The Enfield Village Association also met. They are in full swing with their scarecrow preparations for this year, and they're beginning the ordering process for our downtown light and garland decoration. And they have already committed a board member to the 250th celebration committee, and I will be acting as the select board representative, and Anna Dace Canadas, our newest board member on EVA, will be the EVA representation of that group.
Okay. Eric?
Yeah, so the planning board had an excellent meeting. It included a couple of hearings. One was pretty straightforward subdivision of a property on Lock Haven Road. But the big one of probably more interest to people was Laramie Farms had their first formal design review hearing. So it was a good discussion. They brought in the plans. People got to review them. The planning board themselves, voted that it is a project of regional impact, so there's notifications going out to various parties there. Looked through the general stages of that project, where stage one is the variances, which is complete. They've completed the conceptual phases, and now they're in the design review phase, which will take months to get through it all. So I won't bore you with all the details, but the next meeting around that is on September 24th. And that meeting will start with a site visit. You can contact Rob for information on how to get there and where to meet at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. So it's September 24th at 4 in the afternoon. And then the hearing will continue at the planning board meeting that evening as well.
Thank you very much. Next up, we have the town manager's report.
Thank you. First up, police department hiring update. We're happy to announce that as of October 1st, we will be back to full staff with full-time positions. We do have Cameron Hill rejoining the team, coming back to the police department after being gone for 3 years. We're also very proud to say that we have included a rigorous hiring process for police officers. It looks like we will have 2 part-time positions filled. The police department has not had, or all our part-time positions filled, and the police have not had both full-time and part-time positions filled in about 20 years now. Nice to finally be fully staffed in the police department. As I mentioned at the last meeting, we've posted a light equipment operator position. We are taking applications for that now, so if anybody knows anybody with a CDL or someone that would be a good applicant for our light equipment operator position, love to have them. We are hoping for a CDL driver, but we will train people as well if they're a good employee. We are currently contacting and talking with a candidate from our last round of interviews we had, was it a month ago, something like that. So hopefully we can either get a good applicant or get a hold of that person. We have posted the position for our assessing administrator position with Julie Huntley retiring this December. We have received already about 60 applicants on Indeed. You guys have used Indeed much. The majority of those applicants are not qualified, but they've applied. So boiling that down, we do have, say, somewhere in the dozen range of people that could fill the position, and a couple of people that we've either heard or about to apply or have applied have some sort of assessing experience. So we'll be moving through that. I'll be working with some of my town staff and Norm Bernache as we make that final decision. If people, because I did pause Indeed, I want people to know that I paused Indeed because we were getting so many applicants and we pay per application when Indeed comes in. So I paused that. So if anybody hears this or if you know of somebody that wants to apply, have them email the town manager at enfieldnh.gov or bring an application into the town office and we'll be happy to accept it. With that, most of you may know we started the budget committee and CIP meetings. We'll be working through some finance updates, chart of accounts discussion, and planning for upcoming meetings on the budget committee. And in a couple meetings from now, we'll be presenting the 2026 budget. We'll continue to work on that, but we do want to talk through some chart of account changes that we might do with our new finance software and just make sure the budget committee's. Public safety building, we're planning on a grand opening for Saturday, October 11th. That's the second weekend in October. We'll be setting a time soon. We don't have that time yet, but save the date for October 11th. I reported, I think a couple meetings ago, maybe last meeting, about our audit RFP that did not get any responses. I did talk with our auditors that had not seen the RFP. And after working with them and figuring it out, the .gov email got sent to junk mail, so they did not end up seeing it. I have not yet had time. I want to call some of the other auditors to see if they received it and why they didn't respond. But I did talk with our auditor for a while. They would like to continue doing our audits, but they said if we re-release that audit RFP anytime soon, they're by 2 people on their staff, and they're overwhelmed with work and would not be able to respond.
Should we take a vote that we favor single source?
Not at this time. Let me contact the other auditors and see if we went to junk mail and if we should reopen or not, and discuss the audit in the future.
I just have a question on that because our current auditor obviously has done this for more than a couple years with us. I know they had a rough bump and it was a challenging audit last time because I'm going to say we weren't prepared in entirety, but are they having hard feelings? I mean, it's not like their workload suddenly shifted and they didn't know we were going to quote them. Like, we didn't tell them we're throwing them out the window. So why did they so suddenly deprioritize?
No, it just takes them a lot of time to put together an actual RFP packet. It's not as simple as just shooting an email with a price on it. They said they're overwhelmed with auditing work right now, and they're.
In that conversation, were you able to get a timeline for when we'll see the 24 audit?
No, not at this time. It's in our hands right now. We're
It's
trying
in
to.
our hands.
Yeah, we're trying to finish the reconciling of
Still
2024.
on the reconciliation aspect of things? We don't have a projected timeline for that from our end?
Not yet. Keeping you updated. We're getting pretty darn close, but we're finishing the final details of the 2020 reconciliation.
Do we have any sense that other towns are experiencing the same problem getting quotes with auditors? I mean, is there anybody else in our kind of peer group that does have an audit that requires an internal controls audit? Or I would hope we wouldn't be the only ones, but I'm looking. I don't want to be without an auditor. I think this is very serious, and I think the internal controls piece is really, really important.
Yeah, no, let me talk to them. I want to talk to the other auditors and see if there's a reason they didn't respond. I've had auditors in the past make recommendations on internal controls, but I've never had any of them actual audit the internal controls. But they've looked through and they've made recommendations of how separations of duties could be done a little bit different. And I did have a little bit of conversation with him about, if we write policy for internal control, they review that, and they do that now for us. So I think having them review that and make recommendations wouldn't be a stretch to what they do now. But let me look, because I want to make sure that if we need to go through the RFP process and if there's other people that would respond, that we do that. And if we're having trouble and other people aren't in that area or not interested in that, that we work with our auditors properly to keep them on the books and upgrade those types of procedures we would like to make sure that we get done in our audit moving forward. I don't think it's out of the realm to say that we'll work with them and just make sure that that's a piece that's added in the future.
Could we, if this is a problem for them and I guess any other auditor, is there another kind of consultant who could do that work? I hate to parse it out, but if we have to, I think it's so important that we should have an audit, but make sure we get that piece. So if we have to separate it into two parts, could we do that?
I'm sure we could look at that.
We have an adequate staff to prepare the last of the reconciliations on a timely basis for 20.
Yeah, we're finishing it up right now. So we'll keep updating you guys on where we're at on that. We update you every second meeting on our financial status and where we're at, and we're hoping to get that back to the auditors soon.
So this is an abnormal year, but what's the normal expected cadence of, like, we should be closing our books on the prior year by January, February?
March-ish timeframe.
March, okay. I'm used to private business where they're not very nice to you, and they would have cut your fingers off by then. So I guess my concern is, like, we're well outside of normal cadence. I know we had trouble. What are we doing to remedy it in future years? Do we need to put some overtime to it?
We're putting overtime to it this year to catch up. In the last audit, we learned in about the late October, early November timeframe how bad the 23 were messed up and that we needed to start reconciliation over there. Got that done. We moved into 2023, finished up that audit closer to that March timeframe, and then moved on to the 2024 once we got the final. To go through that entire year as well.
Could we, as part of your work surrounding this, take a look at that findings page and get a readout on what could be remedied in 24? Because I think we shouldn't get as bad. I mean, I'm going to be really worried if it's that bad, but what can be remedied, what the expectation is going forward, because I'm going to tell you right now, I expect a clean 25 audit. That's my personal expectation.
We'll be working towards that. I expect a better 2024 audit as well. Be up to date. So, Planning Board will hold a hearing Wednesday on a major subdivision application. We talked about this at the last meeting too. It'll create 9 lots from 1 lot on Bog Road, formerly the Crate Gravel Pit. This hearing will happen on 9/10, September 10th. Planning Board has an application for site plan review for the Bark and Bevy LLC that we heard about that was going to the zoning board, and they did receive that exception. The hearing for that at the Planning Board will be on September 24th. Eric talked as well at the Laramie Farms site visit, and continuation of that hearing will be at the 24th meeting. Planning Board is still hard at work on the New Hampshire HOP grant zoning ordinance rewrite. This week's meeting will take up that project again. They have a continued focus on the downtown village and Route 4 areas. And then we'll be hosting a mini expo on accessory dwelling units here in Enfield on October 18th from 8 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. This event will take place at the community building, and we'll have architects, builders, bankers, and more on hand to share knowledge about these dwellings. Nice to continue moving that ADU work forward. From the Public Safety Department, the Police Department hosted Movie in a Park this last Saturday. The movie for the fall was Jumanji. Attendance was a little low, but the people that came had a really good time. The department will be looking at better ways to increase attendance at future movies. Sergeant Smith and K-9 Officer Ranker have started their 12-week patrol and tracking school. Upon completion of the school, they will be fully certified drug and patrol search team. Talk about that a little more when he gets up, if you guys have any information on Rancor, but he's been doing well, doing good in their training, and it was fun to see him at the Citizens Academy at work. Police Department recently held a preliminary review for the State of New Hampshire Police Department accreditation. This preliminary review went very well, and we have received the approval to schedule the final review. Department's goal is to be accredited by the end of 2025 or early 2026. The 7th annual Walk with a Cop had a great turnout for the first day of school. We had 120 students and parents who enjoyed walk up to EVS from the community building. This event's a great opportunity for the parents and kids to get to know many of the police officers, firefighters, and ambulance personnel in a non-emergency setting. It also very much helps the school with traffic control on that first day. So we thank the emergency responders for taking some time out of their day to make that happen. The Enfield Ambulance has received 3 applications for new members. These include the one we were talking to you about before. 2 of the applicants already have EMT certifications, and the other one will be working on that. 2 members of the ambulance crew have received certification to conduct AED and CPR training, so we'll be able to manage of them for in-house training and then also to train staff and maybe do some. We'll be looking forward to that. One Enfield member of the fire department attended an advanced fire tactics certification last weekend that was put on by our mutual aid association. And then also in the fire department, the new Cascade system that we ordered will be installed. It's the breathing air tanks. Be hooked up and operational by the end of this week. And then we also have scheduled for both fire engines to be completing their annual pump testing. You guys didn't know, we those pumps up to machines every year, and they run them through the gamut of testing to see if there's anywhere on the pumps where they start losing. Nice to get that testing done. We also test fire hose every year as well. Up to par. DPW update. Water department's replacing a leaky valve on Flanders Street on Thursday. So some water downtime in that area. Highway staff is pulling ditches and starting fall grading, so a little bit of work getting ready for snowfall, for drainage, and making sure the roads are in decent condition. The new turnaround at the Canaan Enfield line on Choate Road has been done. This was a collaborative effort. Or I think they're working on it. It's a collaborative effort with Canaan Highway Department to turn around there. Surplus equipment relocated to the Union Street station to be sold, so we're getting ready to do a big plus sell. Most of the stuff that's been approved has been on the low enough threshold that the town manager can approve it, but as we get ready for this, if there's anything that comes to the select board, you guys will see that. And we'll be striping Lakeside Park later this week. Just add my own that we're working on Whitney Hall as well. If we can't figure that out, little robot that we got anytime soon, then DPW painting that will figure that out. But we'll be working on that. Members of the Solid Waste Committee are touring the Grantham transfer station, okay, at 3:30. And then there's a survey out online, so please take the survey if you haven't taken the survey, and if you can't find it, it should be on the website, but if you can't find it, get a hold of us and we'll get you a link to it. Water Department has done 35 digs over the summer to find leaky curb stops and gate valves in different boxes, so that should help our Water Department a lot. We tested a new truck-mounted reading system for the meters. When we did that, the whole district was completely read in 26 minutes. So that's something that we're going to be looking at adding to our trucks. If you guys remember, this read the meters took us about 2 weeks about 5 years ago. We can get that down to a half hour. It'll be nice. The sewer department is applying for a New Hampshire Saves grant to install some new VFD units at the pump controls. And we are looking at repurposing the old Whitney Hall generator here to be a backup generator at the marsh well. So we have a little bit backup power. That's it for my town manager's report.
Thank you very much. Any questions from the board? Yes?
I missed, what time is the public safety building grand opening?
We don't have a time yet. We'll be back out to you guys with the time. We just wanted to get a save the date on the calendar that it'll be happening.
Anything else from the board?
I have one more question. Do we have AEDs in all of our public buildings?
Yes, we do.
Do we have defibrillators in all of our public buildings?
Geez, okay.
Comments, questions from the public?
John, I just would like to ask, I know that we talk about finance as part of the town manager's report, but I have an interest in putting a line item so that we set a cadence. I think we have some pretty long-standing financial questions, and it can be given as part of the town manager's report, but I don't know if we do a little subdot so that we set the expectation. I think maybe the first of the month is, more general, but the second one, we should be looking as a board very seriously at the reports we're getting that are being sent to us. Chris Ellen is working very hard to catch up, and I think as part of our commitment to the town and to taxpayers to say that we are doing our fiduciary duty, that we should have that little bullet point to keep us on track. It's just a request that I'd like to make.
You're suggesting we get an update at every select board meeting, essentially?
Well, at the second one, to have an agenda item first.
I think if you put it as a bullet point, kind of like you have bullet points on the others, and leave it for every time, because you always give us a financial update of some kind. But yeah, if you want it for the second one to be a follow-up on specifically the reports, either way, whatever is easier for you guys to do, but just so that we have it in our minds that we're doing our fiduciary.
Eric Russell, do you have any questions or comments?
No, not right now. Thanks.
Nothing from the public in attendance here. How about other people online? No. Okay, I think we're going to go on to the next item of business. I see our Eagle Scout is here. Could you introduce him to the equipment? Someone? Maybe he'll just figure it out on his own.
Speaking of,
This is Jacob Reno, who's working for his Eagle badge, is it? There's a proposal to build benches to be placed along the Colette Trail near Bicknell Brook for his Eagle Scout project.
John, could I ask, since he sent his presentation to Conservation, that we also allocate a little bit of time to Shirley Green to share what the Conservation Commission had for feedback as well?
I lost some of what you said there.
Yep. So his presentation, because it's on Conservation Commission, land the Conservation Commission has an interest in, it went before them, and so I'm just asking that following his presentation, we allocate a little bit of time to Shirley Green as chair of that commission.
Okay?
Great.
For it.
All right. Hello, everyone. I'm Jacob Reno from the Mascoma Troop 44. I'm a Life Scout, the second highest rank below Eagle. I'm here to propose my Eagle Scout project. Like John said, I would like to guide my fellow scouts to put 6 Aldo Leopold benches along the Bicknell Brook on the Colette Trail. And there are some pictures there that, yep.
Very nice.
Yep, and I'm here to propose this idea, and yep, and I would love to get a signature from someone on the board to keep going through my project and get it approved. And yep.
So basically, you would like our approval of your project.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Do we have a motion? Any questions from the board first?
Can we have Shirley provide the feedback from Conservation since it went before them as well?
Would we ask this gentleman to go before the Conservation Committee?
We did,
Oh, Shirley's here.
and she's here.
Shirley, would you like to see the pictures?
Pardon me?
Would you like to see the pictures?
We've seen the picture.
Shirley,
You got to approach the mic.
would you speak on behalf of this?
Shirley Green. The Conservation Commission was very pleased to hear this proposal and unanimously approves of it. There was just one thing we were wondering about, and we're probably, that's probably a definite thing. We were hoping that environmentally friendly materials would be used for the benches. Okay. And I guess that's about it. We think it's wonderful.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I'd make a motion to approve this project as presented under the direction of who's our staff contact?
Yeah, we can say DPW. We'll work with him to.
Under the direction of DPW.
Second?
I'll second Alice.
All in favor? How by saying aye?
Kate Plumley Stewart, yes?
Tracy Young, yes.
John Klug, yes.
Alice Kennedy, yes.
Unanimous?
Eric Russell, yes.
Eric,
Perfect.
once again.
Perfect. Thank you.
I think Eric said yes.
Thank you very much.
I'll send you an email tomorrow linking you with DPW.
Next up, we have a community power update from Kim Quirk and Ellen Courtney.
Good evening. I'm Kim Quirk, representing the Community Power Committee, Enfield's Community Power Committee. We last spoke with the Select Board in June before the rate setting, which happened at the very end of June. And those new rates go into effect, have started going into effect as of August 1st. In terms of what people will see on their bills, most people will see the bill for August service in September. So I think that we'll probably, they won't have seen the rates yet. As you may have heard and read in the news, electricity rates have gone up a lot for all of the utilities, and that includes community power. When we did speak last, the big event or benefit of community power that Enfield was taking advantage of is called the local rate, which means we get to set our own rate for electricity power. And at the time we discussed this, we were only going to enact the Enfield local rate because it's a slight bit higher than the Granite basic rate, which is the lowest rate. We would only enact that if the utility prices were higher than that local rate. And that was not the case. So we did not default to the Enfield local rate. We had defaulted to the Granite basic rate. And I just wanted to emphasize some of the things that community power, some of the benefits that community power provides. For instance, local control, giving us in New Hampshire and specifically in Enfield the ability to work on where our electricity is supplied from and have a say in that. Customer choice, we provide the choices for anybody to opt up to a more cleaner energy, Granite Plus, Clean 50, Clean 100. We also now they can opt into the Enfield local rate. So we have a fourth option that a lot of other communities don't have yet. I think there are 5 communities in community power who have a local rate that they make available. And ours is available as opt-in now, but in the next rate period, if it's lower than the utilities, then it will be the default, or it will be up to the Select Board to decide, but that's what the recommendation is. Community power provides the best pricing we can based on the competitive pricing due to aggregating lots of our residents' loads together, and program and project development. So 2 of the features that community power has brought to Enfield or to the whole group in general, one is the ability to buy renewable energy credits, RECs. So people who have solar on their house or in their yard can sell their RECs to community power as opposed to selling them to somebody in New Jersey or Massachusetts or some other place. That means those RECs and all the money associated with renewable energy stays in state. And also we have a very strong public advocacy group, which is really important because the PUC isn't really favorable towards community power or renewables, and so we have a good group who works on all of those things. So to give you a quick update of the actual prices, one thing that's different that happened in June is we started creating a rate structure that is based on your utility territory. So in Enfield, there are 3 territories. Some people are serviced by New Hampshire Electric Co-op, some by Eversource, and most of us are served by Liberty. And so in this last rate period, we reviewed the fact that it costs community power a little more to service Eversource and a little less to service New Hampshire Electric Co-op. So the price for Granite Basic for Liberty customers, again, that's most of us, is 13.33 cents per kilowatt hour. And to service Eversource, it's 13.4 cents. And for New Hampshire Electric Co-op, it's 13.2 cents. So it's a small range, but it's just we didn't do that before. In the past, community power was one price for everybody, but this helps to make it equal out a little better. I guess I'll stop there and ask if there are any, and then yes, the local rate. So for Liberty customers, which were at 13.33 cents for Granite Basic. The Enfield local rate for Liberty is 13.6 cents, so 0.2 of a cent higher. Oh, actually, it's 0.2 of a cent higher for each of your territories. So if it's Liberty 13.33 cents, then it would be 13.53 cents, sorry. And similarly, if you're in Eversource territory, instead of 13.4, it would be 13.6 cents. Again, right now, that local option is only an opt-in, and I think there are 2 people in Enfield, Joellen and myself, who are opted in, just to make sure it's all working. Any questions?
Yes, so when you opt in, it goes into a repository.
At CPCNH, so Community
then
Power
they
Coalition will
transfer it
hold
to
it for
us?
us. When the town wants to use it for something, we ask for it, and they deliver it to our fund, which we are establishing as a community power fund.
Should we not set a regular cadence of having it delivered into a fund, so if it accumulates?
Yeah.
I mean, right now, I know we're not going to be investing it, but at some point,
Yeah.
I
could.
assume we might get to a point where we might be able to put it into a short-term CD or something to manage it a little better.
I think that's a possibility, but it's also possible that as soon as it's significant, we'll want to start putting it for, weatherization or energy audits or something that we want to use it for. So it's not impossible to do that if we bring it to a fund, if we take it in on a regular cadence, monthly or quarterly. I think quarterly is the maximum amount of, I don't think we can get it monthly, but probably quarterly, just in terms of the paperwork that needs to be done. Any other questions? The next rate setting period is rates that go into effect on February 1, and so we'll be before the select board in December to talk about where we are and what we think those rates will be and things like that. Great. Thank you.
I just want to say, you have a great microphone voice.
Okay. You could hear it?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Hey, anything from online? Eric, anything? Okay. Next up, we have the 79-E tax exemption for the brewery. Jacob, don't feel you have to hang out with us.
Don't you already have your civics badge anyway?
On the other hand, you're welcome to.
Do you need a signature this evening to help you out?
We had a
Okay.
memorandum regarding the RSA 79-E applications from Rob Taylor, our Land Use and Community Development Administrator. Seems pretty comprehensive.
Yeah, I can talk about this a little bit. Dan came forward to us from the Optimistic Brewery here, asking for a little bit of relief through the 79E process. This is something that we've used in the past for other businesses. So we kind of did this 2-part. You have the application in front of you, looking through the application, what has been spent on the business, the public benefit with that. We're recommending a 3-year tax relief, and it's on the difference in appraisal value from where it was when he bought it to after renovation value. And then the other thing that I've asked Rob to do while we did this, it's something we've talked about a few times. We don't have to get into deep discussion on it tonight, but we did get a policy in front of you to start reviewing that just gives us a little bit more guidelines than the state law does and has a little bit of a matrix, housing and business, to start to make sure that we're treating businesses fairly and equally, or housing projects fairly. I'd like to focus tonight on the brewery application. We do have Dan online from Optimistic Brewing, if you guys have any questions for him, or if he would like to speak on his own behalf.
Before we jump into the Optimistic, though, I just have a quick question on the memo sent to us by Rob Taylor. I have 4 pages, but my second, third, and fourth came through blank, so I don't know if that was like an issue. Like, I'm wondering if I'm missing some data.
I only have one page.
Right, yeah, I'm looking on the computer, so when I read it, I'm just,
There's one memo
okay,
page.
so there's the recommendations, that's, yeah, just the short, so the other pages are just blank pages.
They're the application.
Oh, they're blank. Yeah, this is the computer. And,
Need to see that?
no, I have it.
Is it in your?
I'm asking specifically, we were sent a package
Yeah.
with 3 blank pages. Okay. I want to make sure that was because I didn't see, I can see the other components, but I didn't see much in the way of a strong recommendation or an analysis. So that's what I was wondering.
The recommendation's in that first page of the memo, but it is kind of hidden in there on the second paragraph. It says that his recommendation is to grant a 3-year exemption beyond the policy.
Your exemption of, because in the past, when we've addressed the 79E, we've talked about percentages, we've talked about step-down percentages. Is it 100% of the added value? Is it 100% the first year, 75? Like, we've talked about doing a matrix, and when I looked in the policy.
You guys can do these. We're recommending 100% of the value for 3 years.
I'm not criticizing the application, I'm just very confused about what I'm being given for information.
According to the application, then, we don't know the amount of the project right yet. Speculated that Rob's note says it will be less than the 202,600 that's actually in the application.
Total value of improvements at 202,000.
Yeah, but Rob's note says the final amount will only be determined once the project is completed.
Dan, can you speak to that?
Yeah, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, so the renovation project is 202,000 and change, I think 202,600. That has been almost completely spent at this point. We have a few remaining items that will be completed by the end of the month. And at the end of the month, we will have hit the 202,000 of improvements. So that number is accurate. And that's strictly for the building renovation. There's been several expenses along the way that are not captured in that figure. But I would say that the 202 is the majority of the capital expense into the renovation.
So, but what we're being asked is the actual new assessed value versus the prior value, is that?
That's what would be
So you could
exempted.
I mean, potentially you could spend, and no offense to you at all, Dan, but I'm going to throw out, like, you could spend 500,000 and only gain 100,000 in value on something. We would only give you the exemption on the 100.
Yeah, it's the exemption between the
Okay.
appraised value and what the new appraised value after the renovation.
Okay, thanks. I just wanted to make sure I was following along.
Can I just ask a quick question, like taking a step back? So when we were talking about the other tax abatement things, we were suggesting that it go to town meeting before we implemented it. So I might understand that this doesn't need to go to town meeting because it's already a policy that's been adopted.
It's already a policy that's been adopted and has been used in the town.
Because it says draft policy in the memo.
This policy that you have in here is a draft policy to write some more rules around the 79E law that's in place.
Okay.
79E is something that in the state of New Hampshire, you're allowed to adopt. And so we went through that full process before, and this is just refining what our internal process is. It's something we've talked about, and it's been quite a while.
Yeah,
It's
it might have
something that's been on the-
predated me, so I was just like,
Yeah, it's been on the
break.
to-do list.
Yeah.
I think it's very important. I'm glad we're getting to it.
I don't. I would say, we're being relatively modest in this one.
I think it's fine. We know where we're headed. It's a 3-year abatement.
Yep.
In 3 years, if he wants an extension, he has to come to the board according to 79E. Start.
And the one thing I would say and recommend as we move forward, if you guys decide to approve this, that we give this exemption to the brewery. And if this was to sell in the future, we can address that at that time if we want to allow it to move forward or not. But I wouldn't put it on the building, I'd give it to the.
Yeah, yes, yeah, it is for this specific project at this time.
Right. Other questions, comments from the board? Eric?
No, I don't have anything to add. I think this makes a lot of sense. It's exactly the kind of project that was discussed at town meeting. And a 3-year exemption of the increased value makes sense. In fact, I'll make a motion to approve an RSA 79E tax exemption application by Bow Mills Brewing for the improvements at 59 Main Street in Enfield.
I'll second that motion.
Other comments? Second? So we have a motion and a second? Okay. Please signify by saying aye.
Kate Plumley Stewart, aye.
Tracy Young, aye.
John Klug, aye.
Alice Kennedy, aye.
Eric Russell, aye.
It is unanimous. So we wish Optimistic all the best.
Thank you very much, everybody. I appreciate your time.
Stan?
Thank you, Dan. I don't know if you want to stay on or not, but the very next subject is the 3-hour parking on Main Street.
Um,
I'll hang out.
Yes, that is correct. Main Street parking. I'll have a copy of the proposal. The chief is here to lead us through it. Thank you very much.
No problem. Hello? We're good? All right. So as the whole board knows, we've been working through the parking in Enfield project. The first big step was rewriting the ordinance, which we've done. We've started to enforce that ordinance. Obviously, as a community policing department, our first step is educating the public, which we are tracking and we are doing. In doing that, we noticed that as our Main Street is lovely being revitalized, we've got a couple new businesses down there, and I purposely put in the ordinance a way to a process of changing some of the parking in town if need be to accommodate the growth of the town. And one of those things was being able to put hourly limit on parking. Currently in Enfield, our parking ordinance is no overnight parking, except for the Upper Beach parking lot, which has a not a time limit, but an hours, no overnight parking up there. And so what we've noticed as we've continued to police the parking is that with the no overnight parking, we still have a fair amount of apartment buildings and stuff on Main Street. And so a lot of times we get guests or people that have more cars than they have spaces are using up some of the public parking. The town ordinances for no overnight parking. So we, as a leadership group got together, said, okay, when people are parked there after 10, we start addressing it. And so after speaking with myself and Rob and Ed had spoke to all the businesses that are in the specific area that we're looking at, which is the Main Street from the bridge to just before the old feed store, to include the what formerly, or I believe should have formerly been called the rail trail parking, to put a 3-hour parking limit on just those spots. I believe that'll promote, one, that'll give us an enforcement tool to have people move along that just decide to park there all day as they go for a ride with somebody else, out of town or this, that, and it'll also help us move cars along that on those busy times that the parking from when those businesses are open and trying to have a turnover of customers. We spoke with all the businesses down there and to include the building owners, and I haven't had anybody yet speak that they were not in favor of putting a 3-hour parking there. I'm coming to the board now to talk about it because we're knee-deep in the second phase of the parking, which is we're getting ready to start replacing signs.
I just want to clarify, I don't know that we hit every business along Main Street, but we did talk to Dan at the brewery, we talked to the coffee shop, we talked to Kitchen 56, and we talked to Jim Kelleher, who owns the Copeland block, and he owns some apartments down the street. I know those ones for sure, and everybody was pretty much in agreement. A couple of them, the coffee shop and some, were really, really happy to hear about it, and then others, I think Dan was one, was, that would work for me, but it wasn't something that he was really pushing to have happen.
Up. I guess my question would be, in terms of Mr. Kelleher's properties, I understand the Copeland block. There were many iterations of the plan for his apartment building, and not to rehash them, but the long conversations that was rather challenging was the curb cut with the state, and that was left open. And my understanding was that maybe sometimes his tenants might use that. Did he want to sacrifice that to be more public every hour? Or I'm wondering if overflow, he's going to end up with an overnight folks there, or if we're going to do all of South Main Street, or we're going to cut it off. The new ones. That's where the curb cut issue was. Okay.
To be on.
Is that better? Oh, yeah, there we go.
Interesting.
You just have a voice that doesn't need a microphone.
I don't need a microphone. That's why this, So just to reiterate, since the recording didn't catch any of this, Roy Holland, Chief of Police. I spoke a lot about parking on Main Street, and communication, I think, is going to be the key for some people. But for most people, I believe that as our businesses grow down there, it'll help them out with the turnover.
I think it's a wonderful idea. Pursue it. Yeah. Your department's behind it. I mean, they're not going to feel, irritated. They're going to pay attention to parking now.
No, it's all about community policing. To be obviously transparency, I believe, is the most important thing in law enforcement. Is it the high priority thing to do on a Friday or Saturday night? No, right? We have to triage calls. If we're going to domestics and stuff like that, obviously that won't be. But we're not in New York City, so we're not always running. And so, the conversation we've had is that if you're driving down Main Street and all the parking is taken up, that's when you pay attention to the cars that are there. If you're driving down Main Street and there's hardly anybody parked there, well, that's why that's discretion in our jobs.
Chief, general public doesn't always understand, like, when they get a ticket, where money goes. And so there's always rumors about quotas and this and that. To dispel any of that, if Enfield were to issue a ticket for something like this, where would the money go?
It would go into the general fund. So this would, so yes, for the town of Enfield. So this would be a town ordinance violation. And so the person who received well, we like to, again, start with education. So the person, if they got a ticket, it would be the second or third time that they were caught doing the same thing, most likely. When they received a ticket, check, there, it's back on.
There you go. Which is different than what happens when you get a moving violation, which,
Yeah, if you get a state of New Hampshire moving violation, it goes to the state.
okay. Thank you for that clarification.
How much is a parking ticket?
$25, and then it escalates from there. Sure.
There will be no workers' comp.
How's that one? All right, there we go.
I think it's great.
What's your schedule like for getting the signage up?
I don't know. To be fair with you, we're in the design phase. I've had the conversations with Jim and with Rob, and right now we're talking the metal signs that will go in with the linear posts, and we're working out the how we're going to. The words I want to use are escaping me, but add the QR codes as well, but make them look presentable and nice, but also last a little while. We're pretty close to ordering the metal signs. I don't know what the turnaround time of those are. Jim's a little bit better at that with me, but it depends if we can order them. I mean, if I can get them cheaper through the state prison, we may wait a little bit longer to get them cheaper, but we want them to look nice. We want them to last long, but we want them to fit in with how we're making Enfield look nice and organized.
It would be nice if they look nice. I have a super ugly no parking sign right outside my house, and if they look nicer than that, it would be fantastic.
That's the goal. That's the goal. There's always a thing between cost and efficiency.
Runs from the bridge, the Shaker Bridge?
Basically, if you look at the what is currently referred to as a rail trail parking, I'm hoping to call it the Main Street parking, but that little parking area right there, and those spots right in front of where the brewery is now.
And then downtown, okay, and how far in that direction?
Just right there. For now, I'm not even talking the downtown part, it's that little parking lot, and those, half dozen parking spots that run right along Main Street as if you were headed up towards Whitney Hall.
And now the Carpenter's Cup is aware that his customers can use the parking spaces in front of Mr. Kelleher's building? We're not going to put a sign there, I assume?
No, it's not our parking. I don't educate them on that because he has publicly said that it's open for parking, but it's technically his, so.
Well, the state said they're open public parking.
Oh, well, there you go. So the state, yes.
Could you repeat that?
The state told them that they would have to be open public parking because they're along Main Street, but yeah, it's not something that we're going to be signing for that.
And we have not found anyone who's going to pave that. Not going to get paved.
That's good to know.
I think we start on Main Street with that little parking lot and those half dozen or so in front of there, and we can, if we feel like this is an issue, we can come back and brainstorm and see if we need to expand it, shorten it, or see where it goes from there.
And one thing,
From the board?
one thing just for clarification, I did talk with Dan when I was there, and we'll be working with our police department and him. He does bring in some food trucks sometimes that parks in that area, and we'll work with him to make sure that that continues to happen.
Anything from the public here? This vast crowd? No? Anything from those online? Okay, we need a motion?
Do we need one or just consensus?
I don't know that we need
You don't-
actually, I'd leave it up to Ed.
I mean, it's
It's
an
written in
oppor-
the ordinance that the town
Can be
manager or the
either
select
way.
board can
Yeah,
change
it's
it.
written in the
Okay.
ordinance for us. to
Let's
do.
go for it then. I think we're all in favor. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Wonderful.
Thank you, Chief.
Next up, we have Shirley Green, some Conservation Commission Class 6 road proposals. Thank you, Shirley.
Shirley Green for the Conservation Commission. In November, a member of the public recommended that some Class 6 roads be changed to Class A or Class B trails. Since that time, there has been much discussion and consideration given to this subject. There has been much input from the public, both pro and con. After carefully considering this suggestion from many interested parties and carefully adhering to the RSAs regarding Class 6 roads and trails, the Commission has moved to support a 3-point resolution to present to the Select Board. Number one, recognizes they adopted a policy not to convert any Class 6 roads to trails at this time. Two, determined it would be beneficial on a limited basis to use signage as notice of additional recreational opportunities on certain Class 6 roads. Three, looks forward to the opportunity to facilitate volunteer efforts to maintain these Class 6 roads in ways that protect wetlands and other natural features of interest noted during our inventory as part of our continuing role. And I also have a sign that's free of charge from DES that would help address the protecting the wetlands that if you're interested in seeing and might be useful at some locations where there are wetlands involved. That's it. Any questions?
I have a question. So is it advantageous for the wetlands for a Class 6 road not to be changed back to a trail? I mean, is that the rationale for these?
It depends on, like, this here depends on if there are regulations or advice to, to keep away from the wetlands when you're using recreational trails. That should be knowledge that people have that are using them, both with vehicles and walking. But
I'd like to add, since I'm the Select Board rep to Conservation, this was discussed in many meetings, and I think that's a really good question. One of the big differentiator between being a Class 6 road and a Class A or B trail is whether or not you are allowed to spend town funds on them, and whether or not you can drive a motorized vehicle. There's some nuances in the Class A and B trails, but I won't go into them. If you can't drive a motorized vehicle, you are going to be hauling in material and doing fixes by hand. Class A and B trails, potentially, the taxpayer could be asked to contribute money to fix them. As a Class 6 road, we are barred from fixing them. However, volunteers who would like to do so are allowed to fix them within reason. They aren't going to go dig themselves a new highway, and they would work with, in this case, Jim Taylor, who's our DPW director. So we had quite a bit of interest. It was, I'd say, to be fair, Shirley, probably the best attended meetings I've ever seen for conservation, and there were a lot of folks who wanted to volunteer. That being said, we're in the middle of a drought. We started with flood, and now we're in a drought. So I think it's something even the motorized vehicle folks were very interested in the conservation aspect as well. So I don't think it will change it as long as we are doing it in a way that is responsible and collaborative. If we can't do that and the town decides in the future they want to go to Class A or B trails, that's tax dollars. We're talking about going to town meeting to ask for more money.
Thank
One
you.
thing, like we said, how the meetings are well attended, online and in person, so we know the minutes are being read.
I'm a big fan of the Class 6 road, not a big fan of the trail proposal. Thank you very much, Ed. I recall some years ago riding my horse down Blood Road after it crosses Potato Road. A wonderful, wonderful, wonderful trail. We came to a lowland, and it was flooded. There was a bridge. We didn't dare take our horses across because we didn't know what the condition of the bridge was. And we said, this is great. It's left in its natural state. And yeah, would we like to have a nice bridge? But we know sooner or later the water will go down and we go over the bridge. So Class 6 roads are the way to go. Thank you.
Yeah. Now, I had one more question. As far as the, any signage, if there's any that needs replacing or additional on some, we would certainly be willing to support that and would want the select board's input.
Ed brought up an interesting point when I was talking to him earlier today. Sometimes there's a Class 6 road. We wonder, should we put a sign there? I know of some that have almost disappeared, right? And should we just let them disappear, you know? Or should we put a sign there and think, well, maybe people will start using it more? It's an interesting dilemma.
Yes, that's a question. We'd certainly like to.
Good topic for the Conservation Committee. We don't really need any motion on this, do we?
I don't think so. If they decide that they want to put signs on a road, I would recommend that they come back and tell you which ones they would like to put those signs on, and we'll.
If there's an existing sign that is just illegible from wear and tear, does that need to be included as well?
It would need to be approved by Jim Taylor or the board if there's already a sign there.
And also,
So regular upkeep would also need to get approved. That's what I'm trying to, just so that they have good direction at conservation. Like, I know that if they ask for a new one, but if it's just a like replacement sign,
It should go at least through Jim Taylor.
yeah. Oh, well, he has to put them up, right?
Oh, and they're the road agent. The RSA for Class 6 roads says the road agent or the select board has the authority to authorize maintenance and work on those roads.
and one other thing we'd like to have your input is on, a lot of people did come in at a couple meetings to volunteer to work on where places there were ruts and stuff on some of the Class 6 roads. And we would like us to pursue that. They also mentioned that the hypotherm volunteers who are also have their own liability insurance or have done that in other towns. And so they would be available to us too, if needed.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Shirley. Any comments from those online?
I would say that is something that the select board could give some guidance on if they would like to, if they would allow volunteers like that to come in and fix some of the ruts in heavy rainy seasons, those types of things. A little bit of guidance for our DPW department to know if that's something you guys would like to allow people to do or not.
I can elaborate a little on what was offered, and I'll just disclose. So my brother, Dave Plumley, is a member of a four-wheel drive and off-road group. They had a large body of their group in attendance, and they have done similar projects, most notably, if you're familiar with where Corbin Park is, there is a road that wraps around Corbin Park. They've done a significant amount of work to the extent that they've brought in excavators, cleaned up felled trees. You know, they're not remaking the road, but sometimes when you're going in, there's substantial damage from washouts, particularly because of the stormwater runoff, and they had an interest in mitigating some of the stormwater runoff and putting it back to its original state. I think that's something that we could say yes or no to and work with Jim on. I would say in Enfield, we have a little bit of precedent on Mud Pond Road, the snowmobile club redid a large portion of Mud Pond Road. They took care of some of the water bars. They cleaned out some of the ditches that were, just had filled in with debris. You can't just go digging a culvert though, right? That's a DES issue. So something like that. And then they had put down chips. So if that is something the select board would be amenable to, I think conservation had some interest, and you have quite a crew of volunteers who are interested in doing it. I think in particular, in light of the stormwater issues we've had, there were, Kurt had brought quite a few areas to mention. There are ones over the years that I've walked through that have been probably washed out a long time and have just simply gotten worse. Goodhue Hill was one of the main ones, and I think there's going to be some activity there by a property owner anyways, but maybe making a list, prioritizing, having the volunteers do that, and then come back and make a recommendation to see what your comfort level is. I don't know what you guys think, but I'd like to get it a little more organized and give a little more direction.
I would agree Mud Pond was a great example that the select board had given Jim and DPW authority in the past to work directly with the snowmobile club to maintain that. So they have been in the last couple years doing work, and it didn't necessarily have to come before you again. Jim worked with them and keeps them in line with DES rules and those types of things.
And just as a point of clarification, I mentioned a four-wheel drive and off-road club. It's not we made a backyard club. They are a formalized nonprofit. They have insurance when they do these activities. So it would be similar to the Snowmobile Club, which is a formalized organization. And I think, to me, my personal opinion is that you allow the members to do some of the kind of survey and tell you what they could do, and then you approve it and, run it by Jim and approve it. I think it's probably, I don't have any expertise, and I don't know if anybody else does, and we are not allowed to spend tax dollars on it, so we will not be sending Jim out in the first place.
Other thoughts? Go on to the next topic.
Are we okay with that methodology? That's what we're really looking for.
I'm having a lot of trouble understanding you right now. I don't know whether it's something with the microphone or...
I don't know. Is it the echo?
And it's loud.
Okay. Well, I tried to lower my voice to avoid the echo. I can raise it. I'm not sure which is better. But basically, I was asking, maybe I should just do it down the table and repeat. That's acceptable. So I was asking John if the clubs do the same thing the Snowmobile Club did, go out, make kind of a list of what they think are priorities and what they'd like to do, and come back and get some feedback from Jim on it, and then have it come to the board. That's an okay process. Sorry about the echo, you all.
We wouldn't stop going out and...
Yeah.
I'm back. Eric, what do you think?
I was just going to chime in because he was looking for feedback. No, I think that's a fine process, and having groups put forth proposals, working through Jim as the road agent, makes a lot of sense.
Okay. In agreement?
Yes.
Yes.
In your mic, Tracy?
Microphone. Tracy's mic. You don't get to.
You're not supposed to do that.
I think the procedures that we have where Jim is monitoring the activities that occur, if something lands on his desk that he feels is of a substantial need to look at the BOS, then he'll pass it forward. Other than that, I support the efforts that he's used in the past.
I would say that's an agreement. That's the same thing. He has had a couple things that come forward that he starts to question, and they come forward to the select board.
I'll rely on his judgment for that discretion.
Thank you, guys. Sorry.
And I think if we see that it's not working, then we will hear about it and attend to it.
Yes,
Thank you.
we need some work on acoustics.
Yes, we do.
Next up,
These seats are good? I'm so sorry.
Correct some of those.
Shaker Boulevard cost update data. Ed, are you going to lead us through this?
Yes, I will. As your memo states, in 2024, the select board authorized up to $33,008.66 in funding for engineering for replacement of the Shaker Bridge. Through the engineering process, we've had some inflation. Some of it's due to the difficulty of the bridge in the area. I'm sure there's some other reasons as well. Some of it may just be inflation, but overall, the project's getting more and more expensive, and that happens, so does the engineering. We're at a point now to continue moving forward that we need a match of $99,200, but the project has also increased from a total project cost of $1,179,836.79 to $2,531,000. It's the same thing as it was before, that we need to bring forward the engineering costs, get through that, and then the state and federal government will pick up the cost of the bridge. We're at a place where I recommend we move forward with this. We're kind of mid-project. I don't know what happens if we back out of this grant with all the money that's been expended on engineers at this point. It's a question we can ask if the select board wants to, but I still believe that 99,000, even though it's a lot more than what we had said we wanted to do, is a deal on a $5 million bridge.
Yeah.
I have some pretty strong feelings about the state and their little engineering projects, given our, 2-something-year project on one crosswalk. And I wonder at some point if they just don't become a little bit more responsible, because we don't have an endless bucket of cash, and this is a big jump. And, you know, I understand it's a large jump for them, but they're getting federal funds too. There's no more funding coming to us from some other source. So I'm really uncomfortable with them coming back mid-project. I mean, I understand it's a good deal, but where is their sense of responsibility? Is there some kind of contract we signed with them? To me, why do we have to do it when they are the ones increasing the project cost? To me,
Well, they're not raising the.
well, they estimated wrong. And at some point, somebody ought to be responsible other than just us. I mean, I know they're probably eating quote unquote part of it, but they're not eating it as a state. They're going to just deny someone else funding somewhere else. They're not just benevolent overlords that give us money.
They're paying 90% of the escalating engineering costs.
The state is, or they're taking it from federal funds that they're being given.
Well, it's federal funds.
Yeah, that's what I thought. That's the problem, is it's not coming out of a pocketbook where someone can look you in the eyes, that's your neighbor, and say, start being responsible and stop messing around. And I guess that's my concern, is at what point do we say to them, I mean, we could say yes to this, but I feel like the message to them needs to be, you guys need to not drag this out. You need to not keep pushing deadlines. You need to be a little more careful.
Well, I don't think that, do you think that's going to be their reaction if we say no thank you? You think it's going to make them feel bad?
We have this little cowpath bridge right there that is working fine, and not all the neighbors are
I can't believe the amount of money for such a small bridge, to be honest.
like,
Well, the other thing, and I didn't get the cost, we can talk about that. It needs to be resurfaced if we had to keep.
well, the neighbors would really like a single lane. I mean, they made it very, very clear. And I think we came to a decent compromise about how we would line it as a single lane, but install a double lane. Materials-wise, have they considered downscoping their project? If they're struggling monetarily, why do they want to build such a big bridge?
I have to admit, when I first saw this, I thought, oh my goodness, that was such a nice old bridge. Glad we're getting rid of it. But here we are. I think we're locked into this. I think we have to pursue it. And, you know, however you feel about it, we're still paying a minimum price for what is probably going to be a pretty good bridge, very good bridge. Bigger, more beautiful.
I agree that as cynical as I'd like to be against the state and give them a stern talking to or slap on the wrist, I know that that's a futile exercise. I'm also very disappointed that they would come back at this point and boost their price. I have no question in my mind that they're able to cover some of their costs out of our subsidy as well. But $100,000 for a $2.5 million bridge is still a pretty good buy. And it's a better bridge than what we have there now in terms of the ability to carry traffic the next 50 years, although the Bailey Bridge is an excellent bridge. We will recover something when we have that bridge removed and sell it. So we'll recover, hopefully, a good portion of the $100,000 at that time.
Good point. And yeah, frankly, if we look at some of the decisions being made at the state level, I have no confidence whatsoever in any further funding.
I guess that's a little bit what I'm nervous about, though, John. Like, we give them this money, they doodle along, and then they're like, oh, kidding, it's going to be a $3 million bridge, give us more money. At what point do we get it in writing? Like, they're actually going to pay it and they're going to be done, right? Like, how many times can they come back? Is it infinite? I guess that's what I'm really nervous about, because they really know how to drag something out. And our experience on Oak Hill was they wanted to put in a really fancy, very expensive bridge, and we were able to do it for a fraction of the cost. I'm not saying I'm advocating we do a big project like Oak Hill, but they got to get some sense. And so what kind of assurance do we give if we make this motion? They aren't going to come back again and again and again.
I want to give the folks online an opportunity. Anyone have a comment? Eric, for example?
I don't think I have anything to add other than, you know, most of the comments are very valid and real, but in the end, unfortunately, because of the way the state works, they're more or less rhetorical. And, you know, we're at the point where it's $100,000 for a $2.5 million bridge, and we need a new bridge in that location, and this is the best path to get that bridge.
All right. Comments from
A motion on this, I
the
presume.
increasingly vast public?
You can make
I make a motion to authorize the town manager.
Hold it.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm not done with comments. I'm sorry, Dan.
Dan Kiley. I just want the select board to remember the last time we went against the state was when they wanted to put $1 million bridge down on South Main Street. And we said, well, why not take it down and make it flat? At which point we ended up with what we have now. Nothing ever got fixed because the snowmobile clubs came in, or the rail trail people came in and said, well, no, we don't want you to take that down, when the state had an approved project and we said, you're spending too much money. So we ended up with what we have today, which is a useless rail trail bridge that is the only one between here and Concord.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Are we ready for a motion?
Make a motion to authorize the town manager or the designee to amend the state bridge aid and federal aid programs for the replacement of the Shaker Boulevard Bridge over the Knox River. The total current estimated project cost of $2,431,800, consisting of a town match of $99,200, and hereby authorize the town manager or their designee to take such action and execute all documents that may be necessary.
Your name is? Your name?
Tracy Young.
I'll second the motion as amended.
I caught the addition of current, and I certainly appreciate it, and that's why I'm
We,
laughing.
can we amend that? I'm not sure exactly which one's the right number, but up above I have 2,531,000, and in the motion I have 2,431,000. If we could do 531, it'll be the higher of the two. But our payment will stay the same.
I made a motion that used the word current. That's my motion.
Correct.
531 is the total estimated project cost.
Now, we can change the number, but I still add I think the word current needs to be in there.
Alice Kennedy, yes.
Tracy Young, yes.
Kate Plumley Stewart, yes.
John Klug, yes.
Eric Russell, yes.
Thank you very much.
Is it?
Shakoma Recreation Area designation.
I think this is a really good idea.
So I'll speak to it just so people know what we're thinking about. It actually started during a chart of accounts discussion that we have 3 different charts of accounts, one for the upper parking lot, one for the boat ramp, and one for Shakoma Beach. I don't want to say as a joke, but we just started talking in the office. We should just call this the Shakoma Recreation Area and put them all in one line. Then we thought it was a good idea. We sent it to the Recreation Commission. They agreed that it was a good idea. When I talked to Jim, he was like, oh, that probably means we could put in for 1 shoreland permit instead of 2 for the boat ramp and the beach.
Oh, yeah.
Which would save us some money. So I think there's multiple reasons why this makes sense. Besides that they're all 3 together anyway, it almost makes it like one park or recreation area. So we're just bringing it to you to see if we could make a designation officially that Shakoma Boat Ramp, Shakoma Beach, and upper parking lot would be referred to as the Shakoma Recreation Area.
Kate Plumley Stewart, I'll make the motion to designate the Shakoma Boat Ramp, Shakoma Beach, and upper parking lot as the Shakoma Recreation Area.
Alice Kennedy, second.
Okay. Comments? Eric, any comments?
No, I think it's a good idea.
Take the first vote.
Eric Russell, yes.
Alice Kennedy, yes.
John Klug, yes.
Tracy Young, yes.
Kate Plumley Stewart, yes.
Okay, passes unanimously. Last up under business, we have Mascoma Lakeside Park Committee. Thank you. Yeah, here I am.
You're signing it.
Okay. So, is there a need for discussion?
I just have one question, which is, will this go to all the members that have served on it over the years? Or just the current ones? 'Cause it'd be nice if we could go back and send this to all of the past members as well. Or
We'll send
something
it-
similar.
We will send it to as many people as we can find.
Excellent.
Question. Good point. Okay. All right. Are we down to administrative items? We are. Motion to adjourn, perhaps?
Public comment.
Second.
Public comment.
Oh, public?
Public
Oh,
comment.
good Lord. Go for it.
Dan Kiley, I have a request of the Select Board that this year's town report include the 2023 and 2024 audit reports, as the 2023 was not in last year's, including internal control audit and the management letters.
Thank you, Mr. Kiley. Any other public comments? Then a motion to adjourn?
I'll
maybe not. They could provide cots for us.
Somebody want to make a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I make a motion to adjourn. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Oh, Eric seconded. Thank you, Eric. All in favor signify by name and I.
Kate Plumley Stewart, aye.
Tracy Young, aye.
John Bluth, aye.
Alice Kennedy, aye.
Eric Russell, aye.
Thank you, everyone, particularly to the vast audience. Love you.